scientists, and today in science, we are going to be talking about how the shadows we see and the seasons we experience all happen because of the Earth's position. We will start our exploring of this today. That means it's a new topic and a new unit, so get excited. Now, let's talk about our essential question. Remember, essential questions in science and in different lessons can help us think about what we already know about a topic, and it helps us connect to new ideas that we're going to learn today to help us produce a new thought about the topic. Our essential questions will be focused on our different science topics. So look for key words. In those keywords, the minute you see them and recognize them, I want you to think, what do I already know about this topic? Once you have that in your mind, you want to look at the question again to see what we're trying to answer today or what are we trying to answer about that topic. It's important to remember that an essential question is like a goal as well. By the end of our science lesson, you should confidently be able to answer the essential question. Let's go over our essential question for today. When we talk about patterns of the earth, we're going to be focusing on three essential questions. The essential questions for this topic are as followed. Listen to me first. How can we predict how the patterns we observe on earth will continue? Say that one with me. How can we predict how the patterns we observe on earth will continue? Let's look at the second one. Listen to me first. How do shadows change during the seasons? Say that one with me. How do shadows change during the seasons? And the last one. What is the sequence order of the moon's appearance each month? Say that one with me. What is the sequence order of the moon's appearance each month? Today, we are going to do an activity together to kick off this unit. We're going to see how much time of sunlight do you get. That means we're going to look at three different places located across the world. We're going to look at Alaska, Texas, and Antarctica. And we are going to see how much sunlight these three different places get during two different months of the year. We'll look at a winter month and we'll look at a summer month. Now, before we get started, grab your whiteboards and markers because you're going to be writing along some of the different times as well, so we can compare and talk about them at the end. On your whiteboards, we are going to be keeping track of our data. So this is what you're going to need to write. On the left side of your whiteboard, you're going to need to put the different places that we are looking at. I put the two specific towns we're looking at in Alaska and in Antarctica, and then I have Texas in the middle. Label your boards like that on the left. Pause your screen and give yourself a minute to do so now. Now that we have the names of the cities on the left of our board, we also, on the top of our board, want to put the different months we are looking at. We're only looking at 2 months. We're looking at January, a winter month, and then we're also looking at July, which is more of a summer and a warmer month. Write both of those at the top of your board. Make sure you're leaving space on your board because we are going to write different things underneath January and July that go with each of the cities. Let's look at the number of hours that each of these cities experience daylight in January. Now, we're going to talk about them first, and then I will give us some time to look at some pictures that I have collected for us. When we are looking at our first place, which is Barrow, Alaska, they get 0 hours of daylight in January. Next to Barrow, Alaska, and under January, let's write 0 hours. Make sure to put your label with it. When we are looking at Texas, specifically if we're looking at Austin, Texas, they are getting in January 10 hours of daylight. That's a pretty good amount. A lot more than the people in Alaska are seeing. And lastly, if we think about Antarctica and Vostok, Antarctica, they're experiencing 24 hours of sunlight together. Whew, that's a lot of different sunlight. Let's look at some pictures of those places and how they might look during these times. And we'll also discuss why these places get that much sunlight during the winter time. As we look at the different places, Barrow, Alaska has 0 hours of sunlight. That means even when they go to school during the day or do their grocery shopping, there's no sunlight at all. So they definitely have a lot of lights on, like you can see in this picture. Austin, Texas is definitely cold in the winter time, and you can see a little bit of the frost coming up from the water. It's creating some water vapor there, some condensation in the air, and it's getting that 10 hours of sunlight. So it's the sun still rises, but it's going down a little bit earlier than it would be if it was a little bit warmer out. And lastly, in Vostok, Antarctica, because it's so cold there, the 24 hours you can always see the light. You can see anything that's going on. And let me tell you, you're looking at a lot of snow. Different types of daylight in these places when it comes to July as well. Now, make sure you pay attention carefully and write these down accordingly. In Alaska, now we're experiencing 24 hours of daylight. So instead of no sunlight, the entire day is filled with sunlight, even when they're trying to sleep. When we look at Texas, Texas gets more sunlight than they did in January. They get up to 14 hours in July. That means you have more time to play in the summertime and go out and hang out with your friends. As for Antarctica, they're doing the opposite as they did in January, and now they're getting 0 hours of sunlight. They must have a lot of lights on too, because if they don't have that much sunlight coming in, they need some way to see. Let's talk about why this is happening. Now, because the Earth is tilted, as you can see in this picture, it doesn't spin perfectly around the sun. It has a little bit of a tilt to the side. Because of that, when the Earth is rotating around, some parts of the Earth experience more of the sun than other parts of the Earth do. That's why places like Antarctica and Alaska sometimes have 0 hours of sunlight and then sometimes have 24 hours of sunlight. Because of this, though, it also affects our seasons. What season do you think should have the most amount of sunlight? Should it be fall, winter, spring, or summer? If you said summer, you're right. Summertime is when we want the most time to relax and enjoy all that sunlight outside. It's also when it's the hottest outside. But because it has the most sunlight, places like Alaska and Antarctica are going to experience summers at different times in the year. Alaska is going to celebrate their summer in July, like us, and celebrate their winters in January, whereas Antarctica is going to celebrate its summer in January and its winter in July because it experiences the most amount of sunlight in January. Today, you guys will get some time as a class to get some more hands on exploration and some reading time to learn more about not only Earth's tilt and how it goes around the sun, how that affects the seasons, but also specifically shadows. Why is it darker on some sides of the Earth and they get 0 hours of daylight compared to other sides of the Earth getting 24 hours of daylight? You'll get some more hands on experience using a flashlight and a basketball or a ball in your classroom doing this today. If you have any questions or you can't see something, make sure you ask your teacher because this is important to understand how the sun is helping us to create different shadows on the earth and how that affects our seasons and the time of daylight we get in each day. Good luck, scientists, and I'll see you guys soon.